What's up everybody and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we're gonna take a look at the 2025 Subaru BRZ TS. Big shout out to Randy, Mary, and Subaru for providing this car for today's video. Check out their website linked down below. Now this one is finished off in WR Blue Pearl with an MSRP at $38,600. So with that said, let's get right into the tuned by STI Subaru BRZ. Underneath the hood of the 2025 Subaru BRZ TS, you're going to find that same 2.4 liter naturally aspirated boxer 4-cylinder motor. This makes 228 horsepower with 184 pound-feet of torque, paired to a 6-speed manual transmission and a torsion rear limited slip rear-wheel drive configuration. With a curb weight close to 2,800 pounds, you can expect 0 to 60 in 5.5 seconds and a top speed limited to 140 miles per hour. This car also runs on a 13.2 gallon fuel tank, so you can expect 20 miles per gallon in the city with 27 out on the highway. The overall length is 167.9 inches with a wheelbase at 101.4. Width is 69.9 and height is 51.6 inches. Ground clearance is also close to 5 inches. The TS is also going to feature Brembo brakes in all 4 corners. We have 4 pistons out front with a 12.8 inch rotor, and then dual pistons in the back with a 12.4 inch rotor. Moving on to the exterior styling with the 2025 BRZ TS. This is of course their most sport tuned version of the BRZ. You're going to get a really nice set of LED headlights. You can see the daytime running light in them. It even says BRZ on the far corners. This blue color really pops in the sunlight. Got your Subaru badge right in the center. A nice small opening in the front of the grille to allow cooling to the radiators. Got your BRZ TS badge, and then a nice front splitter with an aggressive style. There's some black trim throughout it with a nice small opening throughout the side. And overall, the front end does come together to give it a nice sporty look. So definitely a cool looking sports car. Got some clean lines fading into the hood from that front bumper. Just a really smooth design overall up in front. Around the side, you're going to get a nice set of 18-inch wheels, finished in a gloss gray color. And then I like the gold color you're going to see on the Brembo brake calipers. Got a sharp body line throughout this front fender, along with a functional vent throughout the rear portion of this front fender. So nice to see how it can allow some air to escape that front end. Has a nice longer hood, and then the whole side profile has a very proportional design with just that sloping rear end like you would expect on any sports car. You're going to see a set of body color door handles, really sharp lines in the lower side skirt, and then this one has a cool BRZ graphic as well. You're going to get metallic black for the mirror caps, and then all black trim throughout the windows. Up on the roof, there's some sharp body lines, along with a black shark fin antenna, and then you have a nice vortex generator on the back, just to help this slip through the air a bit better. The rear fender archers have a really nice sharp line through them, and they bulge outwards to give the rear end a wider appearance. Got your fuel cap on the right side, a nice design for the LED taillights. They have a pretty nice design with the red, and there's a black trim piece connecting them. Got your BRZ TS badge, Subaru, as well as the trunk button right in the center, and a backup camera up above with your third brake light. Smooth design for that small spoiler in back. And then down below we have the reverse lights, a nice diffuser, and then a dual exhaust. Overall, the rear end comes together nicely, once again, to give it a sporty style in every angle that you look at. Taking a look at the key fob, we're gonna get lock, unlock, trunk release, as well as panic, and then just some silver trim. Going ahead and locking the car, you can keep the key fob in your pocket, and just by grabbing the door handle, it'll automatically unlock, and we can check out this interior. This one's gonna get primarily a black interior with blue accents all throughout it. For the door panel, you're gonna see the nice ultra suede material up above, and then some soft touch material throughout the center. You have the black vinyl material with the blue stitching for your padded armrest and grab handle. We have all the window controls and mirror controls, chrome release handle, just a tad bit of storage. These are manual controls for the seats, and they have a really nice large bolster design. You can see the smooth leather material along with all this nice ultra suede with the blue accents. There's perforations throughout it, large back bolsters as well, and you can see more of the blue contrast. So really nice design for the color and materials, and then a nice looking 3-spoke steering wheel with blue stitching and more of the black leather. And then now inside the 2025 Subaru BRZ TS, keep my foot on the clutch and brake. We can go ahead and fire it up. Taking a look at the gauge cluster now, you're going to get a massive center tack along with your digital readout for the speed. We have a G-force meter on the left side that you can scroll through, and you can see a few different things like your power as well as a stopwatch. On the right side, we can see engine temperature along with fuel. And then depending on the drive mode, if I hit the sport icon, it changes just a little bit. And then if I hold down track, you're going to get a pretty cool looking tack with that STI badge. If we continue looking at the steering wheel now, you're going to get the Subaru badge right in the center. And then on the left side, you're going to see some Bluetooth and audio controls. On the right side, we have a little bit of cruise control settings, more of the controls for the center screen. Cruise control is down below. We have the stock on the right side for windshield wipers. Left stock is for turn signals, along with your headlights. We have our interior lighting, trunk release, one of your air vents, and then up above, we do have more of this micro suede. You're going to get a little bit of plastic black throughout the upper dash, and then some more just plastic black material throughout it. For the multimedia screen, pretty simple, like you've seen on many other Subarus. We have all sorts of different icons you can tap. This is all touchscreen. We have our home icon right here. We have the phone integration you're able to adjust. Of course, different apps within the car, Android Auto, CarPlay as well. A couple more shortcuts over on the right side, along with volume on the left. If I go ahead and put it into reverse, you're going to get a nice backup camera coming up with pretty HD graphics, along with some guidelines. And then underneath all that, we have our climate controls. So we do have dual zone temperature. You can very easily make those adjustments. Fan speed right in the center. You can change your different modes, and it'll show you a depiction throughout that center. We've got the on-off, air conditioning, sync, and just some nice gray toggles. Got the red STI start logo, and then you can see a nice 6-speed manual with this cool looking shifter. We have more blue stitching, all of those controls down here for traction control, sport mode, as well as the track mode. You're going to get heated seats and manual park and brake with more of the blue stitching. And then for the center, we just have a small armrest where you can press these and it reveals 2 cup holders. Got a couple extra plugs in here as well, and very easily we can close it. For the glove box, you have just a nice normal handle and a pretty decent amount of space. One last look at the interior, pretty much unchanged from previous year BRZs. However, I do like the STI touches, especially having the blue accents throughout these seats. Definitely a nice combination for it. This one's going to get just a basic black headliner. We have dome lights up above, and then a thin mirror with garage door buttons underneath. Now the Subaru BRZ does have back seats. You're going to grab this lever, and we can pull these seats forward and then just manually slide them out of the way. You're going to see the 2 seats back here, finished in all the same materials with the perforated micro suede. And then you can see just a very simple design along the backs with some carpeting throughout the center. Now, sitting in the back seat of the BRZ, this is not exactly the most family-friendly car in the world, and I'm not even going to begin to try to get the driver's seat into my position because there realistically is no legroom back here. In a pinch, you could fit 1 or 2 people here. It's going to be tight, maybe good for small kids, but if you have full-grown adult friends or something, obviously it's going to be tight. However, this car is decently practical. Of course, when you fold down this whole back seat bench, you're able to fit maybe a set of OEM tires in here if this is going to be an autocross car, and still make it pretty practical for people sometimes, but mainly just cargo in the back. Moving on to the trunk space, you're just going to tap the button right here. It's going to pop, and then we can manually lift it up. You're going to get 6.3 cubic feet of trunk volume with the seats in the up position. This is a very high floor versus the ceiling, so it is a very small trunk in here. As you can tell, just have some all-weather floor mats and some accessories. If we do go ahead and lift up the floor, you are going to get a little bit of extra cargo underneath. And then after folding down those seats, you can see a nice opening into the cargo area where they are going to fold down nice and flat to maximize cargo space. And you do have a pretty large opening into the trunk. So if you do want to use this for some practicality, just leave the seats down, and it is a pretty practical car for some cargo. All right, setting off now in the BRZ TS. So this obviously is no fast car. It's definitely nothing to throw you back in your seat. But with the TS, you're basically getting the advanced suspension system and the insane brakes, and then a few little tweaks here and there to make this, tuned by STI a bit more performance focused. So this car so far doesn't sound like that car, but it seems really smooth. Now the power delivery feels just like your typical BRZ or any of the 86s. However, the suspension feels very smooth in this. Now we recently had a WRX TS as a loaner car for the week, and the suspension is a huge improvement over the standard car. It just feels really smooth over the bumps, and it allows this car to just be even more darty. It is insane how good this car steers and handles already, even in a base model form. This is a fantastic handling car. It just goes around corners with ease. There is no body roll. It is a joy to steer. It weighs nothing. Cars don't weigh under 3,000 pounds these days. So the fact that this 86 does, BRZ does, is a cool thing. Yeah, obviously not a fast car whatsoever. But with that said, the clutch pedal feels pretty good. It's pretty easy to daily drive this. And the manual's pretty notchy as well. It's got a little bit of that economy car feeling to it. However, you know, it's got a nice amount of like resistance for each gear to where it gives you a little bit of that feedback to where you feel like you're in a mechanical, affordable sports car. And that is the biggest selling factor with the BRZ cars, is the fact that they're affordable and they're actually good sports cars. While it's not gonna set any land speed record, don't try racing anybody in a straight line. But when you take this around the turns, you know, we've had these at the tail of the Dragon, you just want to drive it and never get out. Also, being the Subaru over the Toyota, it is a little bit more premium on the interior, and especially being the TS with the blue accents. I mean, it feels like a nice car, honestly. And even going 45, the suspension gives you the smooth, refined feeling. There is going to be a little bit of like wind noise, road noise, stuff like that. Again, it is a cheaper car. You know, it's more of the budget sports car, so obviously it's not going to have the refinements of something a bit more expensive, like maybe a Toyota Supra, which would be like the next step up, or even a Honda Civic Type R, which will feel a little bit more refined than this, just a little bit as far as the noise. But overall, when you're driving this car, it's just fun. It's innocent fun to where you're not going to be breaking speed limits. And you're able to use all of this car on the road. When you take this to the mountains on autocross, or even maybe a fun track day, you can use every bit of the power that this car has to offer, and you're not going to be having too much. This is a car you can just drive and really press it. Some normal things, visibility is good. I mean, it's a small car, so you feel like you can just see around really easy with all the mirrors. Over your right shoulder, you can literally see the trunk. So really no blind spots. It's an easy, normal car to drive. And at 5'11", I do sit here really comfortably. The seats are nice and padded, great support. I love the tiny little steering wheel. The shifter's in just the perfect spot. Pedal box all feels really good for my feet. Nothing too cramped or anything. But it's just a fun, nice car to drive. It's got enough of the tech to where it feels modern, but it's also simple enough to be just fun. All right, so my honest thoughts with the BRZ TS. So obviously this is no STI, there's not a turbo or anything under the hood. That would be cool. I still think it would be great to have a bit more power. But nonetheless, the handling is what you're paying for with the TS, and the braking. Going around a turn at 40, honestly, that went from 40 to 46 throughout the turn. Most cars, you can't do that in a hairpin turn like that. So that turn just kind of showcases what this TS can do. And even judging by my experience with the WRXs into the TS, while it's still not a fast car, the handling changes a lot. The suspension and braking are a big upgrade from the standard car. And with this car, the suspension really goes a long way. My brother had a Toyota GR86, a base model one, and he threw on a nice set of coilovers. That changed the car so much. It just gave it that more refined feeling when you're taking bumps, and it just gave that car a much better driving characteristic to where it felt really smooth over the bumps, and the body roll was even less. So the handling definitely is an improvement, even just going over some short turns. We got a couple other fun turns ahead. But I think with the BRZ, the biggest selling point is simply the handling. They are fun to rip around, and it's kind of nice to take a step back in a car that isn't going to blow your socks off in speed, because you then get to appreciate the handling characteristics, the steering, the braking, things like that, to that honestly make you a better driver. A lot of people these days just want the most power, and to be quite honest, more power doesn't really do anything. You can get a fast car in an EV. If you want power, just get a Tesla Model 3. But if you want something that is fun, a lightweight car that has amazing steering and good handling is kind of the sweet spot, to where you're going to get a lot out of the car and be able to drive it in a whole new way that your typical car doesn't quite allow. With that said, I do find this to be a good daily. It's comfortable enough, it's got enough technology. It kind of just has the basics that you would want in a car. And even though it's not that fast, this update over a couple years ago, when these only had 200 horsepower and even less torque, has made a big noticeable improvement to where, yeah, it's not fast, but it's got enough pep to get out of its own way. And I feel like it's kind of a sweet spot. I would still like 50 more horsepower and torque just to give you a little bit of the grunt that a sports car should have. But when I'm in this car, driving it through the mountains, just having fun with it, I don't really end up thinking about the power. I just kind of think about the handling and steering capabilities. And that to me is the sweet spot. Like right now, this is a sweeping turn and there is so much steering input that I could be probably going 100 miles an hour around this turn and still just hooking so nicely around it. It is so nimble and tossable, even on some curvy city roads. So with that said, ending thoughts with the TS version, the suspension and brakes, they definitely make a nice difference. They make the car brake a little better, handle a little better, steer a little bit more confidently, and it does feel like a nice sportier version of the standard car. Seems like the TS, for the handling characteristics, they have done a nice update. Still wouldn't mind maybe just a mini little turbo under the hood, given this is the nearly $40,000 trim. But overall, seems like a pretty cool option if you just want fun at its finest and from the gate with the big features that you're really gonna want. But that is it for the 2025 Subaru BRZ TS. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned for plenty more content. Big shout out to Randy Marion Subaru for providing this car for today's video. Check out their website, linked down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video.